Hi everyone, and welcome to Career Chats. This is the show where we talk to real people about their real experiences of real jobs. Today we're going to be talking to Kate, and Kate is a primary school teacher, currently working in Abu Dhabi, but she is Irish and has also worked in Irish primary schools. So Kate, thank you for coming on and talking to us today.
Thanks for having me, AnneMarie.
No problem. So we're going to get straight into it. And my first question for you, Kate, is can you tell me what is the daily life of a primary school teacher like?
Sure. So it obviously varies from school to school, but usually as a teacher, you would arrive into school about an hour before your day starts and the children come in. And this gives you a chance to prep any resources or anything that you have to do for lessons. And then the children come in, and in the morning time, I think most teachers would go with the strategy of teaching the core subjects like English, Irish, and maths in the morning time while the kids are a little bit more awake. And then they would usually have a break of about 15 to 20 minutes, and they get to go outside and play. You might have to go outside with them as well if you're on yard duty. So in winter time, this means big coats and boots. Then you will have your afternoon slot, so you'll bring the kids back in again and teach them more core subjects, and then they will usually have a 30-minute lunch break. Again, you might be on yard duty, that happens about twice a week, and then you'll bring them back in and you have your afternoon slots, and this is where you would do your extra subjects, so science or art, more of your fun subjects that you can do, and then you send them home, usually between 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, depending on what age kids you have. And then that is when the real work starts for the teachers.
Okay.
So during that, then you do all your planning and your preparation.
Mm-hmm. So Kate, would I be right in saying that the daily life of a teacher changes every single day?
Exactly. It depends on your ever-growing to-do list. Some weeks are naturally going to be busier than others. It depends on your kids as well and the ability, how much you're going to have to alter your lessons to suit them. It will also depend. In Ireland, you will occasionally have meetings as a team with your whole school or with your year group. So these might pop up once every 6 weeks, or some schools would have more regular team meetings where they might meet once every 2 weeks to do planning together.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay. You mentioned there that the real work starts when the kids go home. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because obviously a lot of students would not necessarily have much experience with that side of the job just by observing their teachers in school.
Yeah, of course. Like the working hours of a teacher is usually, as I said, about an hour before the children come in and then about an hour after the children leave. But the reality is that a lot of teachers would end up staying for many hours after school. And this is technically outside of your time that you have to stay on, but most teachers would stay on. Because it's necessary to prep lessons. If you have 25 to 30 children in your class, it means that whatever you're going to be teaching them, you have to have 25 to 30 copies of whatever you're going to do, resources. And of course, you have to plan them out and know what way your lessons are going to go. You'll also have 25 to 30 copybooks and workbooks to correct. You'll have displays to put up their artwork and their writing and to create displays for them. And then, as I said, you will have planning meetings and you'll have to put aside time for planning. So in Ireland, you plan fortnightly. So you will do one plan for 2 weeks. And then you will also have a medium-term plan and you will have a long-term plan. So this will usually be collaborated with your team, but you need all that time after school to do those extra bits.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay, so that makes it sound really intense, even though, as you know, I was a primary school teacher, but that just sounds like so intense. So obviously you're going to need qualities like being a good organizer, being able to work independently, I suppose being flexible as well, because the day changes from day to day. What do you think? I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons. So let's start with the pros. What are the pros of being a primary school teacher?
One of the best things that I find about it is that it's a really active job. So if you're in any way similar to me and you kind of have the fear of being in a sedentary job where you're sitting down at a table, it's not like that. It's very active. You're standing up, you're walking around. It's also very sociable. So you're interacting with the other teachers and you're interacting with the children all the time. You spend a lot of time talking as well, which can be a pro or a con, whatever way you decide to look at it. But it's very active and it's very social. So that definitely for me is a pro. The time goes by really quickly. Your teaching days tend to go by really quickly. You're moving quickly. So that's also a pro as well. And then aside from that as well, it's very creative. So when you're in your own classroom, you are allowed to, you have the scope to be able to be creative and to expand your lessons and to come up with ideas and explore areas that you or your children want to explore. So you can get into your creative side as well. Also, of course, the hours are nice for those weeks where you don't have too much preparation to do. It is lovely. The usual things like the holidays are great as well. For me, obviously living in Abu Dhabi, I've seen the benefits of having a teaching qualification and being able to travel. So you can really find a job anywhere with teaching, all across the Middle East and Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand. You can travel anywhere with teaching. You'll always find something. So I found that to be a great benefit as well.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, because I do know a lot of people, young people, want to travel. So it is good to know that they can actually use their qualification elsewhere, not just in Ireland.
Exactly, you can. And depending on the country, you'll always find different schemes. Like I've even heard of across Southeast Asia where you can teach for 6 weeks and take 6 weeks off to go traveling and then come back and teach for another 6 weeks. And I've met loads of teachers who are moving from Singapore to China to Hong Kong to the UAE, and they've traveled all over the world but have always had a permanent, stable job that will still bring in a livable salary, which is great.
Wow, okay, that sounds really good. Okay, so what about the cons? What are the cons of being a primary school teacher?
Well, as I said, it is very active, so it can be a bit of a tiring job. You're putting in quite a lot of energy into it. You put quite a lot of time into it. Not always is that time and effort going to be recognised either. It depends on the school that you're in. But usually my experience has been that all principals are usually coming from a teaching background, that they understand where your teachers are coming from as well. Obviously, in my opinion, the pay scale isn't too wide. So in my opinion, I feel like it is a bit restrictive in how much of a salary you're going to get and the bracket you're going to be in income-wise. But that's up to personal preference on how people view that. Otherwise, I don't think there are too many cons. I think it's a good qualification to have, whether you stay in it lifelong or even if you only stay in it for a couple of years. It's a good one to have under your belt.
And I guess, like you said, it all depends on where you're working, and you've been fortunate to work in, good supportive environments with good supportive people, and it really does boil down to that in a lot of ways, whether you have a positive or negative experience as a teacher, the relationships that you have with the people working in the school, including the school leadership.
Exactly, yeah. And as I said, I have only ever experienced really supportive co-workers. I think everybody as a teacher, it's a great community. Everybody understands you. So it's really sociable. It's quite a nice community to be part of. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you mentioned the pay bracket there a minute ago. What is the general pay bracket or salary that you could expect to earn as a teacher?
At the moment, for anybody who would be qualifying from now on and over the past couple of years, the overall salary bracket is from 35,000 working up to 70,000. And this covers a range of how long you will end up working for, if you have any leadership roles, or you can get extras for example, if you teach in Gaelga, you will get extras for that. If you have responsibility roles, you will get extra for that. So that's the pay bracket at the moment as it stands.
Okay, super. And what about like opportunities for advancement or career progression? Is there much scope for that if you qualify as a primary school teacher in Ireland?
Well, aside from within teaching, I think that the degree itself, as I've already said, is a great degree to have in general, because in the degree they do cover different topics such as psychology or philosophy, sociology. You're also able to specialize in certain areas like literacy, and this already gives you the opportunity to, in future years, if you wanted to go back and pursue a different career, then you already have the bones of a good education. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you can do. Also, as you would know yourself, a lot of teachers tend to scope out, and they can have opportunity to set up their own business, or they might see another idea that they could use their teaching qualification for. Mm-hmm. Within the school system, there are some areas for professional development. So a lot of teachers that I would know, the first step would be that they would set up an extracurricular club, and this would usually be happening after school. You might have an art club or a drama club, music club, and in a lot of schools these would be clubs where the children would pay to go to these clubs, and then that is an extra bit of a salary for you. As well as that, you have AP posts and A posts and B posts, and these would be posts of responsibility. So, for example, you might be in charge of Gaelga for your entire school, or you might be in charge of PE for your entire school, and that would be your specialism, and you would head that across the whole school. So you would get a little bit more responsibility for that. And then you can obviously work up to deputy principal and principal at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do think in teaching there is a lot of scope for people to bring in their own interests, and we see that all the time with sport, for example, music, but now more and more teachers are getting involved in things like speech and drama, mindfulness, yoga, and they're introducing all of those activities into the primary schools. So whereas once it might have been quite narrow, if you have a sporting background or a music background, then absolutely you can introduce those activities. And now it's sort of broadening a little bit to allow teachers to bring in their own interests to schools, which is really good. And like you said, it gives people the opportunity to get a little bit more responsibility and maybe earn a little bit of extra income if they're doing after school clubs or activities as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's really any interest that you have. A school is always just looking for what you can bring to the school, and it can be your own spin on it. You don't have to be good at music. You don't have to be good at sport. I'm not good at neither, and it's been fine. I know of people who have set up cooking clubs in their school. So it's definitely broadening, as you said.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay, so a lot of the people who will be watching this will be Leaving Cert students or people who are trying to figure out if teaching is a suitable career for them. So I know that everyone's college experience is different, and of course it depends on where they went to college, but can you give us a general overview of what your college experience was like?
Sure. So I went to Mary Immaculate College in Limerick, and this is where I'm from. So I knew a lot of people who were already going there. Usually anybody of my friends who became teachers went there. A few people went to St. Patrick's College in Dublin, but the majority went to Mary I. And the course as itself, I thought was really good for teaching. I was the first cohort of the new 4-year course. And this was really good because it gave us loads of opportunities to go out on teaching practice. So from year 1, I was placed into a school, and they build you up slowly. So you're not just thrown in front of a class. You have observation weeks where you will get to go in and observe the class and make all your plans and your notes. And then they build you up from teaching 1 class a day to 3 classes a day, and then you will have a placement every year. So for my final year placement in 4th year, I taught from a block from September to December, and this was broken up with observation weeks and teaching weeks. So I felt by the end of it, I definitely had gained a lot of experience throughout all the different class groups and age brackets, which was really good.
Excellent. Okay. And actually, funnily enough, I don't know if you had it when you were in Mary I, but they have something called strand work as part of their school placement now, where they are encouraged to bring in their own activities into their school placement, like yoga or meditation or sport or whatever, or teaching a foreign language or something like that. It's not part of their graded school placement, but again, it's just another way of recognizing that teachers have a lot of opportunity to bring something different to the school, even as student teachers.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, because student teachers as well are so fresh with ideas because they're learning about new things, they're Googling things, they're on Pinterest. So it's really good that at least they're recognizing that student teachers do have those ideas and those capabilities.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kate, for talking to me today. I'm sure that people will get lots of benefit from everything that you've had to say. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to ask them to post them in the comment section, and then maybe we can have a look at them together, and you can feel free to respond to them. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, thank you, Kate, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, AnneMarie. Bye.